welcome to episode number 20 of the Rabe Creations podcast. My name's Nicole, and I'm coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, here in Canada. I'd like to start out by saying hello and welcome to any new viewers. I hope you enjoy your time in this crafty corner of the internet. And to all my returning subscribers, welcome back. I'm so glad you've found some crafty time to spend with me here at the podcast. So this podcast does deal primarily with crochet and the yarny goodness that goes along with that. We do occasionally dabble and fall down other rabbit holes, but crochet tends to be the focus of what I'm doing at the moment anyway. If you hear some ringling and jingling in the background, that is my beautiful, wonderful rescued Rottweiler named Grace. She may or may not make an appearance in the video today, depends on how she feels and how camera shy she's feeling today. So, to start things off, there has been a lot of discussion in the community at large about inclusion and inclusion topics. And I debated actually long and hard whether to even bring this up on the podcast today. I hope that everyone has always felt that this podcast was a community based on inclusion, that everyone was welcome, because that was always the intent behind Rabe Creations. Personally, I am a person who likes to think that I am a equalist. By that I mean I see all people as being equal, regardless of gender, of age, of skin color, of ethnicity, it doesn't matter. We're people. We are all the same. That is my personal philosophy, and I hope it's the philosophy that's shared and that comes across on this podcast. So many others have said many eloquent things about this topic. I have never intended for this podcast to be one of a political nature, so I would like to just leave it at that and hope that everyone always feels welcome here, because the intent is for you to feel exactly that way. So, moving on with a little bit of life news, you may have noticed, if you're a returning viewer, that my intro changed slightly. Because I no longer live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, with my wonderful Rottweiler named Grace and my husband and my son named Riley. He has officially moved out. Riley, that is. He has found his own place. He and his girlfriend have their own place now. So my husband and I are officially empty nesters. Well, other than the dog, she's not going anywhere. So it's been a bit of an adjustment. There will be some changes in the house as we do a little bit of renovating 2 bedrooms, and my craft area will be moving into a larger room, which is fantastic. I'm so excited. And it goes along very well with the plans that I have for Rabe Creations this year. I'm going to get into a little bit of exciting news later on in the podcast, so please do stick around to hear about that. Alrighty, well, I think I have rambled on enough, and I would like to take you into some of my finished objects. And yeah, so give me a few seconds. I'll be right back. Alright, so here we go with some of my finished projects from the past 2-week period. So we'll start with the most obvious, what I'm wearing. So what I'm wearing today is my finished Bellatrix Shawlette. It is based on a pattern by the lovely, wonderful Hannah of the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast. She has some amazing patterns available, and this is one of them that I was planning on doing for a long time, and it just took me a little while to have the time to do it, but boy, oh boy, is it awesome. It is quite quick to work up. It's rather intuitive. Once you figure out the pattern and the short rows, it's quite intuitive. I found it very easy to pick up and put back down again, which was great because I did start it on Christmas Day. So this was while visiting during the Christmas holidays, I took it along with me and I was working on it. So yeah, it was easy to put down, easy to pick back up again. Very little counting involved. You could just look at it and know where you were in the pattern, which is awesome in my opinion. So let me take it off and show you a little bit better. So here it is. As you can see, it has some beautiful striping. Whoa, sorry about that. Some beautiful, beautiful striping. The yarn I've used is also spectacular. So, tell you a little bit about the yarn. The darker color is by a local dyer to me, an Alberta dyer, called Fox Fibres. No. Red Fox Fibres. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it took me that long to get it out. Red Fox Fibres, and it is a, as I said, local dyer to me. The colorway is called On the Rocks, and it is her Into the Wild sock base. So it is a merino nylon blend. The lighter color, oh I'm sorry, I can see the camera is focusing and focusing. The lighter color is Amy from Dyeworks. It is her Solo, or it was called Solo. I know she has changed the names of all of her bases to make it a little easier, but when I bought it, it was a Solo. So it is a single ply merino. I love this single ply. It's the second time I've worked with Amy's single plies. The first time was in another shawl as well. This colorway is called Yesterday's Bouquet, and it's beautiful. The background is a very subtle washed out pink color, and then it's got washed out blues and greens worked in there, and I just love it. It's so aptly named, being Yesterday's Bouquet, so that look of a faded out bouquet. I love it. It's beautiful. And I really enjoy the way the two colors worked together. Nice and contrasty, which goes well with the pattern, and beautiful yarns to work with. I highly recommend either of those dyers to anybody looking for some indie hand-dyed yarns. So, moving along, let me wrap this up, and we can look at what is happening right beside me. I'm sure you've noticed. So beside me is the Scandi Jumper by Fran Morgan. I talked about this last podcast as a project that I was just going to get started. I did post on Instagram the yarn as I was buying it, and then this happened. This was an incredibly addictive project. It is a bottom-up construction with the color work at the top. The bottom of the sweater and the arms of the sweater are all done in a half double crochet, and then it moves to a single crochet in the color work. The color work itself is fairly intuitive. Once you figure out the pattern, it's a repeat. So it starts out in the blue, and then the green, and then the dark gray, and then the orange and the yellow, and then the lighter color at the top. Now, full disclosure, the lighter color at the top is supposed to be the same color as the body of the sweater, but I actually bought out my local yarn store when it came to the darker gray color. So I had to make a quick adjustment or wait for more yarn to come in, and I was just too eager to get this off the hook. So I didn't wait, and I just went with a different yarn color at the top, and I think it worked out all right. It is a merino or a wool alpaca blend. It's drops Nepal. So it's an Aran weight, a heavy Aran weight. It is non-superwash, so that means that, you know, for the care of the sweater, it'll be a little more intense. But I love it. I love how it turned out. Once I started going, I understand what the knitters that I watch their podcasts, I understand what they're saying when they talk about things being potato chippy, where you just want to do one more round. Now, full disclosure, I did tear back the body of this sweater twice. The first time I had the entire body done all the way up to where the color work was going to start, and I tore it back because I was obviously making the wrong size. It was going to be a little too boxy, even for me. I am not a little girl. I've got some curves, and it was going to be too big even for these curves. So I did tear it all back and go down a size. Actually, I think the yarn used in the original pattern is not as heavy in Aran weight as the yarn I used for this one, because I ended up making the size that should be too small for me, and it fits just right. So perhaps this is a learning that gauge swatches are important. There's my public service announcement for gauge swatches. Just do them. So then, second time, I had to tear it out. I didn't get quite as far as the first time, but I got up to about here, and I realized something was looking a little wonky with the sweater. What could have happened? I know all the dye lots on the balls of yarn were the same, but there was an obvious line going across the sweater, and then it dawned on me. Because the sweater is worked around and around and around, at some point when I picked up the sweater, I had done the chain 3 that you do after you join the round, and it had turned inside out, and I was working on the wrong side of the sweater, so I had the wrong side of the stitches going up till about here, and then the right, or however it worked. It was wrong, so I had to pull it back to where I had obviously somehow spun the sweater inside out and start again. But that's okay, because when all was said and done, it took me about a week and a half to complete this sweater. Now, I admit I do get a little obsessive when I crochet, so, you know, it's not like I don't put in time every day, many hours every day in making sure it worked, but, you know, it was done in less than 2 weeks, and definitely a project that I would suggest you take a look at. It is not nearly as complicated as it looks, and I think the finished project is well worth the time and effort, even with the tear-outs. So definitely take a look. It is listed on Ravelry, and I will link it below as well. So the third finished project I would like to share with you today is a little bit of a happy moment for me. I'll hold it up for you. I think I've heard the camera stop focusing. This is the Bee's Knees hat. It is a crochet pattern, not quite available yet because it's by me. This is a pattern that I have come up with and that I am looking to release as a pattern for people to buy and make for themselves. I am really excited about this, as you can probably tell. So the make itself is fairly quick. It's not a hugely complicated make. The crochet is all in the hat, half double crochet worked into the back bar. Without giving too much away, because, you know, I want people to get the pattern. There is a little amigurumi bee at the very top that is quick to hook up and attach on, and then a flower applique as well. So I have the pattern completely written up and ready to go. I just have to take some photos to include with the pattern, but what I'm looking for now are some pattern testers. I told you guys this day would come, and the day is here. So I am looking for a handful of pattern testers who are willing to test the hat. Now the sizes available are 12 to 24 months, or no, 6 to 12 months and 12 to 24 months. So it is meant for babies. This goes back to my roots in crochet. I started crocheting in earnest about 2 years ago, where it really became a passion. I have crocheted for many more years than that, but it became a passion that I was working on every day about 2 years ago. And that is because I was doing a lot of portrait photography and coming up with props and whatnot for my portrait photography. And that led me to the cute little baby ensembles, the cute little outfits. And that's where the whole launch of Rabe Creations came from. So this sort of goes back to those roots. And yeah, I'm quite proud of this, a little nervous, I will admit. So if you would be willing to test this, I'm looking for testers that could potentially have the pattern tested and some feedback to me in about a 2-week turnaround. I can whip this hat up in less than a day, so in less than an evening. So it's not a terribly long time commitment. If you are interested in being a pattern tester, please, down below I have linked the new Rabe Creations email address. So it is darabcreations@shaw.ca. Please send me a quick email outlining that you'd like to pattern test for me, and I will get back to you. All right. Well, that's it. Those are the three projects that I'd like to share with you today. So there's the Bellatrix Shawl, the Scandi Jumper, and the Bee's Knees hat. Alrighty, I'll be right back with my current projects. Alrighty, so let's talk about some of my current projects on the hook. So first off, I would like to share with you a pair of socks. Now, I did talk a little bit last time about self-striping yarns and how I am really passionate about trying to find a self-striping yarn that will work with crochet socks. And although I am liking how this is turning out, it's not quite perfect. So I'm not quite there yet. I am going to keep going with them. I think they will be fine for a pair of socks. But as I said last time, I don't want to use some of my hand-dyed indie expensive yarns on something unless I am totally pleased with the outcome. So let me show you what I mean. So first off, I love this colorway. It is absolutely beautiful. So the sock yarn itself is called Comfort Sockenwool. It is obviously a German sock yarn. It is 75% superwash wool and 25% nylon. So a very typical sock blend. It is, the ball band is all in German, so I am trying to do some potential, maybe kind of translation. It's not going well. So it's a typical commercial quality sock yarn, and it's self-striping. So I love the color stripes in it. As it works up, it has sort of a thicker and thinner stripe pattern, and I think that's the downfall right now for a crochet sock. I think for a crochet sock self-striping yarn, I'm going to need something that has long stripe repeats. So long color repeats, none of these smaller stripes within wider stripes. It needs to be all wide stripe. So I think that may be the key. But I'm going to keep going with these because I really do like the color, and I'll show you where the problem is, because from this side, they look pretty darn good, I have to say. The striping is going nicely. I really like the color combinations. You can see there's a little bit of a break here where the striping didn't meet. On the back side, or on the front top side of the foot, which is what this is, it will be more obvious. So there is a complete break in the brown stripe, the small stripe. Well, there's a brown stripe and a black stripe, and those are the ones that seem to not be connecting. There's just not quite enough of that color to make the connection in crochet socks. Now we know crochet socks do tend to use more yarn per round than their knitted counterparts, but I am loving how this is turning out. So the sock itself is from the Ron Strong Step Into Crochet sock book. Let me pull it out for you. And I have talked about this book before. And the sock itself is the Gorman Street Toe Up sock. So that's it there, and it is a shorty. I don't mind shorty socks. And as I said, to try and figure out a pattern that works with self-striping yarn, I am just playing around a bit. I do have to apologize, by the way, should have started that at the beginning of this segment, for a little bit of the video quality you may be seeing today. I am playing around with some camera settings, and that caused, in the last segment anyway, a whole lot of in and out focusing and hearing the camera focus and whatnot, and I do apologize for that. Hopefully that is taken care of now. I won't be able to have the camera focusing in real well on things I hold out, but it should be back to at least not being incredibly irritating. That being said, let's continue on here. So new socks on the hook as I continue my quest to find the perfect crochet sock pattern for self-striping yarn. Now, I do know that there are a few crochet alongs that are happening that have a sock theme. Claudia over at Crochet Luna is doing a year-long sock cowl with a special mention category for people who can complete a pair a month. So guess what category I'm trying for? You guessed it, the pair a month. So hopefully I will have enough time in the last bit of January to get these completed. And if not, oh well, I will continue just adding socks into that cowl. And I also think the Yarn Hoarder, who is primarily a knitter, but she does have some crochet on there, and all of her cowls and contests are open to crochet for the most part as well. She does a year-long Free the House Elves knit along that includes crochet for socks as well, so go check that one out too. All right, so the second project that I have currently on the hook, because I did finish 3, so there aren't many on the hook, but the design bug has bitten and bitten hard. So after finally getting the bee's knees hat out of my brain and onto paper, suddenly I am struck with inspiration for all kinds of patterns. Now, I had committed that I wanted to do to release a pattern a quarter this year, so 4 patterns in the year, and I think I will probably have that done in the first quarter. There are just so many ideas that are now bubbling up. So the other project that I would like to share with you that is on the hook is another of my own designs, and it will be a cowl, and it is in color work. So I've only done a couple of rows right now of the color work on the cowl. Oh, excuse my tangledness as I try and get this out of the bowl to show you. So that is the bottom of the cowl. The cowl will be worked bottom up or top down. It's a cowl, so you can wear it either way. And that is the beginning of the color work. The color work is done in a tapestry crochet style. So it is done with carrying the yarn within the stitches. So it does mean that you can see a little bit of color tracking within the stitches, but that's just the nature of tapestry crochet. And so far I am really liking this. Yeah, playing around a little bit, trying to figure it out, but hopefully this will be my next pattern that releases. And as I said, it will be a cowl. So there will be a children's hat and then a adult woman's cowl as well. So yes, those are the 2 current projects that I have on my hook. I will be stepping away and I will be right back and I will be sharing with you what's up next. A couple of new additions. Not a whole lot, just a few. All right, so on to a couple of quick new additions. Actually, there's 4 of them, but they're all the same. You'll see what I mean in a moment. So I have not been on a yarn ban. I have not been on a yarn diet or anything crazy like that. In fact, I did buy a number of skeins of yarn over the past 2 weeks, but they were all to go into the sweater, and we've already talked about that, so I don't need to bring that up again. But yeah, so I bought quite a bit of drops Nepal to finish off the sweater, and I do have quite a bit left, so I'm thinking some mittens might be on the hook to go along with the sweater. But what I did purchase over the past 2 weeks is not yarny, but fabric. As you may or may not know, well, you'll know if you've watched the podcast before, but you won't if you haven't. In addition to my obsessive crocheting, I also have an Etsy store, and within that Etsy store, I sell project bags. So some fabric that I've picked up over the past 2 weeks for fabric bags. Let me show you. So starting out with some Valentine's prints. So I am going to be getting these prints into the shop very, very quickly within this next couple of days to take advantage of the Valentine's time of year, I suppose. So first off, we have this nice red background. It's got some pink, white, and gold. So that's actually a gold, metallic gold color of Hugs and Kisses, X's and O's, going across that fabric. And to pair up with that one, I bought this one. It's sort of paisleys and whatnot in the same pink tones. And I'll be able to partner those up with some whites or pinks that I currently have in my fabric stash. So that is the first fabric combination that will be being made into project bags over the next couple of days. And my next combination is a 3 fabric combination, and I really like this one. A little bit dark and moody, kind of like me, but I think this will make some beautiful, beautiful project bags. So 3 different colorways, 2 florals and a stripe. So we have the first floral that is a black base with some greens and blues and reds for the flower print. Then we have a stripe, which is just green and reds, same sort of color tones, but greens and reds, different widths of striping. And then finally, we have the last floral print, which is, again, a black background, has all the same colors in it. As you can tell, these are quilting cottons, so if you're lucky in the clearance area, you can find quilting cottons that were obviously meant to go together, and these 3, I believe, fall into that category because the colors throughout are the same, just the patterning is different. So in this one we have the black wrap background, but it does have a lot of blue, it's got the cutest little pink ladybugs in it, lots of the greens to tie in as well. So I think this is going to make some very, very sophisticated looking bags. A lot of the bags that I've made and that I see out there tend to be a little bit cartoonish, and these ones I think will be a little more sophisticated than that, a little less playful and a little more sophisticated, for lack of a better term. So that's it. That is my acquisitions. I know almost nothing. Who am I? I'm sure that there will be more to share on upcoming podcasts. In fact, I know there will be. This week was just a little bit less of a spendy week. Alrighty, so that's it. That's all I have for new acquisitions. And if you give me a moment, I will be right back and I am going to share with you a CAL update. Hi, welcome back. Well, I know for you it's been a second. For me it's been more than a second. But I'm back and I'm here to talk to you about the crochet along that is currently happening in the Rabe Creations Ravelry page. So I am hosting a colorwork make-along. So knitting does qualify as well. So if you're a knitter and you're knitting something colorwork, please come on over and join in. So this year I have committed to running CALs that sort of challenge our skill sets. So I would like our CALs to be based on either learning new skills or practicing some of the skills that we might have gotten a little rusty in. And that's where colorwork came in. So I have been seeing some beautiful knit colorwork lately and some surprisingly intriguing colorwork, tapestry colorwork included, intarsia colorwork for crochet. So this was the motivator I needed to challenge myself with those projects, and I hope that if you were looking for a challenge, that you're contemplating jumping into this crochet along. So I have had some some people joining in already. Over on Ravelry, we have a chatter thread where we can discuss patterns. If you're having problems, if you're having challenges, please throw it out there. Between the crochet community, I'm sure we can support each other. And knitters, I can't help you, but I'm sure other people can. I'm sure we can help each other over the hurdles that come along with trying new techniques. So that is the chatter thread. We have a finished objects thread, which I am happy to say there are a couple of finished objects in there. There is a beautiful cowl. That is the, I did write it all down, hold on here. That is the, Karen has put in the cottage linen faded cowl, and it is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And Gypsy has put in the pink plaid beanie. Again, absolutely gorgeous. And two very, very different projects. I will be adding pictures of my sweater in the finished objects thread as well. So again, the third piece in there, and it is completely different than the other two. So that's sort of what's neat about doing a technique-based cowl, is that everything sort of starts becoming very varied, very varied. Lots of different inspirations happening in there. So if you've got the time and the means, I would love for you to come join us in there. And there's one other way to enter the cowl, and that is through Instagram. So if you are an Instagram user, which I am, please tag your Instagram posts that have anything to do with color work to it is DRC Colorwork Cowl 2019. I have it linked below. So please look at the link below, because of course I've spelled colorwork the Canadian way as opposed to the American way. So I want to make sure that everybody who is linking correctly, so that you can be entered in that opportunity to win prizes as well. Now we know that the purpose of cowls isn't always to win prizes, but winning prizes is a lot of fun. So I get it. I like to win prizes too. So by all means, you can enter in all three categories. You can enter in both the Ravelry pages and the Instagram pages. Please feel free to join in. It's a lot of fun. It will continue through February 28th, so as of the last day of February will be the last day to enter into any of those ways of entering. Now, as for prizes for the cowl, there are some prizes already available that we can talk about. The first prizes, there are 3 of them, have been donated by Hannah, the lovely, sweet Hannah from the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast. And she is a wonderful crochet designer, as is evident in my Bellatrix shawl. And she has reached out and said that she would like to contribute some patterns for the crochet along. So the winner of each category will be able to choose one of Hannah's patterns, and she will send that to you free of charge. So thank you so much, Hannah, for your ongoing support. It means the world to me, and I'm sure that it will be a much welcomed prize for the recipient, because your patterns are absolutely amazing. So the other prize, there will be one, again, 3 more prizes, so one for each winner, will be donated by myself, and those will be some of my project bags. So yeah, each person who wins will also get a project bag, and we'll see what other kinds of yarny goodness we can collect between now and then to toss in to those prize packages. So absolutely, get on there on Ravelry, get on there on Instagram, share your makes, share your inspiration, share your muse, and we will come together as a community, as we always do, and have some beautiful things to share. Alrighty, so that's it from a cowl perspective. And I will be back in just a few moments with some shop news, and that'll be about it. All right, so just a few more seconds here. All right, as we near the end of episode number 20 of the Rabe Creations podcast, I'd like to thank everybody who has stuck around for today's podcast. I know there were some issues with the focusing and hearing the focus and the focus being all over the place, and I do apologize. Striving to make things bigger and better for all of us here. My new video editing software is also going to be used. It was used in the last episode and will be used again today, so hopefully that's working out well as well. Alrighty, so into the very last segment, and it is all about my shop update. So if you don't already know, in other words, you're a new viewer, I do have a Etsy shop called Rabe Creations, where I sell some completed crochet products as well as project bags and stitch markers, and that product line is about to continue to expand to patterns as well as sock blockers and crochet granny square blockers as well. Now, the big push for the crochet sock blockers, or for the wooden sock blockers and the crochet granny square blockers, is the fact that I have been accepted as a vendor at the Spring Fibre Festival here in Calgary. So I'm really, really excited. I will not be vending my amigurumis or any of my finished projects like I normally do. I will be vending maker's goods. So the project bags, stitch markers. I'd like to do up some kits of my patterns, potentially partnering with a local dyer or a local yarn producer to get some yarn in those kits as well, so doing up some kits. The sock blockers and the crochet granny square blockers, those are being made by my wonderfully supportive husband, who is also a woodworker, so I'm getting him in on the action as well. And I'm really looking at this as my opportunity to once again wave the crochet banner and let the world know that crochet is not what it once was. It's not just all about doilies and granny squares, although as I said before, there's nothing wrong with doilies and granny squares. I make those too, but that the world of crochet is so much broader than that. It's very exciting to me to get new converts to crochet. So as a little bit of a mini shop update for today, I do have some new bags that I have either added into the shop or will be adding into the shop very, very quickly. So I have added my link down below. Please go check out the shop, tell me what you think. If you like the shop, hit the like icon in Etsy and you will be notified when new things get added, which is always nice. So let me just grab them for you. So starting out with the 3 bags that have already been added into the Etsy shop. The first one is this really fun dog print pattern. So all different kinds of dogs on it. Tends to have a very beigey kind of a background to it. It has just a speckly interior to the bag, which is the same fabric as the bag's handle. It is a drawstring bag, so it cinches up nice and tight, leaving 2 spaces on either side for your yarn to come out of if you would so desire. It is also a box bottom, so it does have that box bottom. And it is fully interfaced, so it will stand up to being a yarn bowl on the go if you so desire. So that is the first of the 3 that are already listed. So there's the dogs. The second one is a wintry print. I don't think it says Christmas, I think it says winter. It is, again, my box bottom bag. It has beautiful snow-covered pine trees. The handle matches the interior of the bag, which is a fantastic plaid print. I really like this one. Again, it's a little more sophisticated than some of the ones that I have or that I've seen. The drawstring closure on the bag, and there it is. So that is currently in the shop. Finally, of the current listings, I do have this one. I'm calling it Birds and Berries. So it's got birds with pine boughs, some little red berries, Again, box bottom, drawstring. The interior of the bag is lined with the same fabric as the handle. There it is. And it is completely interfaced so that it can stand up as a yarn bowl as well. So that also is currently in the shop. And I have one more that I have not yet listed, but it will be listed soon. And it is one of my jumbo size. So the first three that I showed you are my medium-sized bags, and this is one of my jumbos. So this one is definitely big enough to hold your biggest sweater, even blanket projects. It is the box bottom as well. It is fully lined as well, but because of the size of this bag, it's not going to stand up as a yarn bowl, but it will carry all of the yarn you need for your project. I assure you it is that big. So it has this beautiful print at the bottom that has a snow scene with deers. The top of the bag, the print on the top of the bag here is a white background with gray snowflakes. The interior of the bag and the handle of the bag are once again the same, and it is this pale pink color. So again, drawstring closure, allows you to keep everything secure, and a nice, big enough of a band or of a strap that you can actually wear it on your wrist. So though this one is not yet listed, it will be listed within the next few days. The other three smaller bags are. There's also some new stitch markers listed in the shop. The stitch markers are actually listing with free shipping, so be sure to go check those out. Free shipping for at least Canadian orders. Yeah, and that is all the news that I have for my shop at the moment. We should start seeing some very constant updates to the shop just as I build up my inventory for the Spring Fiber Festival here in Calgary. And if I didn't mention, that is May 11th and 12th, which is the Mother's Day weekend. And yeah, I look forward to seeing anybody from the Calgary area who is planning to come out. Come on down and say hello. I know it's still a ways out, but it's very exciting to be exploring this end of the crochet community as well, and really getting the crochet message out there that, you know, it's so much broader than I think a lot of people initially think when they think crochet. All right, that's it. That's all I have for you today. I want to thank you so much for spending some crafty time with me. I hope, as I said earlier, that the focusing issues a little earlier weren't too distracting and that you managed to stick around. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of my new subscribers. If you are watching this for the first time and you've liked what you've seen, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, follow me. I would love to see our membership growing and having that crochet community getting larger and larger. All right, that's all I have for you. I will talk to you in another 2 weeks. Bye now.